This video tutorial looks at the mathematical strand of number and place value, and more specifically we're going to focus on three index laws. So what are the index laws that we're focusing on in this video? Well, essentially index laws are there to help you when you are trying to solve a problem involving indices. Okay, so three of them that we're going to look at are, the first one is the multiplication. Okay, and what you do to the indices when you are multiplying with the same base number. So it's really important that we know we have the same base number, and in our example you can see it's a base number of 2 and a base number of 2. When we multiply these base numbers, we actually add the indices. Alright, so here you'd have an index of 3 and an index of 2, you would add them together and to give us an index of 5. And that's where we get 2 to the power of 5. So that's the multiplication index law. You also have a division index law rule, where you've got the same base number. Okay, again, we've got our 2's. It's exactly the same equation, but we're dividing instead of multiplying. So when you divide the base numbers, you actually take away the indices. And that's how we get a 2 to the power of 1. So the base number stays the same the whole time. Alright, but when you multiply the base numbers, you add the indices. And when you divide the base numbers, you take away the indices. The last power we're looking at is when you have a base number and an indice all in brackets to another power. Alright, when you have that, okay, we actually multiply the indices. So when you've got a base number and an indice, and then a bracket to another indice, so if there's a bracket separating the two indices, you actually multiply the indices, and that's where we get 2 to the power of 6. Okay, so let's have a look at some example questions. In our first question, you can see that we have a base number of 2, so therefore our base number stays the same, and we're actually multiplying the base numbers. So in this particular case, we're going to add the indices, and that gives us 2 to the power of 6. In our second question, we have a base number of 7. Both numbers have a base number of 7. And we are dividing, so therefore we take away the indices, so your answer is 7 to the power of 1, or simply just 7. And in our last example, we have a base number of 3, so that stays the same. We actually have 3 to the power of 4, all in brackets, to the power of 2. So we are multiplying the indices, and that'll give us 3 to the power of 8. Okay, we're now going to have some practice questions. On the next few slides, I'd like you to pause the practice questions, have a go at them, and as always, we'll go through the answers on the last slide. So here are the practice questions. Please feel free to pause the video, have a go at the questions. Once you think you've got them, continue the video and we'll go to the answers on the last slide. Okay, so in our first question, for the practice questions, evaluate the following simply means just tell me what the answer is. Here we've got the base numbers of 3, so we know our answer is going to have a base number of 3. We're multiplying the base numbers, so we add the indices, gives us 3 to the power of 10. In our second question, we have a base number of 5. We're actually dividing the base numbers, so we take away the indices. Therefore, we get 5 to the power of 2. In our last question, we've got a base number of 3 to a power of 3, and then all of that in brackets to a power of 4. We keep the same base number, but we multiply the indices in this case, gives us 3 to the power of 12.